Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to commend Honorable Mbulitavo for the wonderful line of argument he came up with. In fact, I think he's the only sensible member in the opposition side of the House. Honorable Speaker, you and I will have already seen a shop that used to sell nice bula shirt and dresses, muumuu dresses, in the days past, called TikToks. There's now another version. It's called TikTok. It's not most unfashionable and most distasteful. I think you should stay away from that one if anybody passes you that. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak on the motion by the Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Economy. Mr. Speaker, prior to the impact of COVID-19, Fiji Airways was a thriving airline offering international flights linking Fijians to 13 countries and 23 cities around the globe. Its extended network reached over 108 international destinations, constituting 64% of all visitors to Fiji. In addition, Fiji Airways was directly supporting over 1,000 Fijians with employment and indirectly supporting thousands of Fijian families and their livelihoods. It was a pillar of strength for the national economy, generating revenue of hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The fine performance of Fiji Airways, Mr. Speaker, was one of the main reasons that our Fijian tourism sector was able to grow to over 30% of our GDP. Mr. Speaker, it was this performance that convinced my government that providing strategic financial assistance through a government guarantee was the right decision. The performance of Fiji Airways has been on par with the best airlines in the world. Looking through their financial reports of the past years, we will tell you this, and there is no doubt about it. When the COVID-19 impacted the world and Fiji, it brought with it a lot of uncertainty. As international travel around the world halted and borders began closing, more stringent drastic measures were enforced. As the impact of the pandemic drew on, Fiji Airways implemented an ongoing cost savings and cash preservation measures, which included aircraft loan and rental payment deferrals, reducing recurring costs by millions of dollars. These strategic decisions, Mr. Speaker, were key for Fiji Airways to persevere through this crisis. This was the right decision. In fact, many of the lessors and financiers supported Fiji Airways with payment deferrals and new loan facilities. Dedicated international freighter service by Fiji Airways still continue to ensure vital export and import chains, including medical supplies, for Fiji remain intact. Mr. Speaker, it is important that we take all necessary measures to salvage our national airlines based on its strategic importance, not only to our economy and livelihoods of ordinary Fijians, but also to our neighboring island countries. The changes being discussed today is about that, about extending our lifeline to our national carrier and the many Fijians that are part of the Fiji Airways family, and of course to our tourism sector. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I heard a few of the members of the opposite side of the aisles raise their disapproval with helping Fiji Airways. How could they not think of the future? If they had it their way, they would abandon Fiji Airways and the people, its employees, and their families. Thankfully, Mr. Speaker, they are not on this side of the House. We all have a part in helping opening up our borders and stopping the spread of the virus. We all have to think rationally and rebuild our economy. put our people back to their jobs, create more employment. It requires everyone's commitment and perseverance, not politicking. For Fiji to open up its borders, return to strong economic activity, and resume some levels of normalcy, we need to first ensure that Fijians are safe, secure, and healthy, which is why we must all make it a priority to take the vaccine jab when the opportunity arises. Residents in the Greater Nisinu and Nosuri areas showed up in huge numbers at the vaccination drive earlier this week. By making the decision to come forward, each of these people are showing what it means to be truly Fijian. Mr. Speaker, there are and will be many more opportunities to get the jab. My government has a plan in place that will protect the whole of Fiji and its people. But we must all take heed of the advice of the Ministry of Health and abide by the COVID-safe regulations. While we are taking these necessary precautions for the health and safety of all Fijians, we also know that we must set the foundation for growth and development coming out of this pandemic. Mr. Speaker, the whole of the Fijian government and Fiji Airways are committed to reconnecting Fiji to the rest of the world and growing our economy. Mr. Speaker, sir, I support the motion. Thank you.
I thank the Honourable Prime Minister. I now give the floor